years ago, oh great, this is starting to record on this example. I was going to use. I used to chew a lot, like Copenhagen, and how I forced myself to quit was every time I replaced it with gum, not nicotine gum, but just Orbit. And every time I had a hankering for it, and so like it brought back that flashback for me immediately of just like replacing a bad habit with something better, of just like, yeah, I'm just using gum for this instead. So I really enjoyed that one there, just interrupting it. Like they talk about that in the greatest salesman in the world, like creating good habits and all that other stuff. Like that's a running theme. How do you just get rid of it? You have to replace it with something. So I really like that one. Leading into the prioritizing your foundation. And that was the other one. And that's been over the last couple of years where I really have with you don't have anything without your health. We've heard that in other places. And I truly loved his analogy of the table, that your whole life can fit on a table and stuff's going to come and go off of that. Whether it was like he used the example of if a dog left or a girlfriend left or something, you still have everything else. But with the table being your health, as soon as that collapses, so goes everything else. And it's truly the things that you are doing now that's when you're going to see the rewards. And this ties back into Outlive, which we read a couple books ago. The stuff you're doing now is going to absolutely impact your quality of life 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. So just another good reminder on that one. I really liked that one. And then as he kind of got into some of the marketing stuff, the absurdity factors, that I loved. And just thinking of, it's so true when you use Tesla as an example. The amount of videos I've seen online of people with the fart car horn or some of those other random things, they're not talking about how great any of these other. They're talking about that stuff. That's Tesla doesn't do any marketing. It markets itself. And so, without taking the whole thing, I love that part and just being able to think off of the wall where it tied into the wallpaper one and the next one of, just what are these things so you do not become desensitive, that you truly stick out. And I thought of when he's talking about using the curse words in there and Gary John Bishop, that go unf yourself. And how when you didn't see any of that in the early 2010s. By 2016, the first person put that in their curse word. By 2018, you had a handful of them. Now it's just kind of like you see it, it's like whatever. But it was such a bold take that it stuck out off the bookshelves. Like, this book says what on the cover? Like, what is this? But over time, it, like everything else, it gets oversaturated and then it just blends in with all the other noise, becomes wallpaper. You don't even notice it. And so, how do you constantly reminds me of how do you constantly reinvent yourself to stick out, to have those absurd things like the blue slide or whatever it may be? So anyways, no, again, like I said last week, very easy to read this book, very enjoyable, loving this one, good selection. Thank you very much.
I guess just to piggyback off you, because he even gave himself as an example when because he has, I didn't know that actually. He has a podcast called The Diary of a CEO, and he was saying that his followings or whatever was like super, like it was slow. It was gradual, but it was slow. So he added the like and subscribe at the end of it. But to his point, he's like, that is so overused, and I forgot what he called it, systemic satiation or something like that. That when people see that or hear it, they forget about it. They're like, anyway, whatever. So he started adding it at the front of his video where he gave them like a fact. 74% of you that watch my videos don't subscribe. And then it breaks it down like what each sentence of what the blurb he put does to the psychology of a person. And his following went up to 430% within that first couple days that he posted that thing. So I think that's super cool. I even the example that he had the word father written like 100 times, like father, 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 father. So I thought he was trying to trick me to miss a word. I thought he was going to change it to feather or farther. So I'm like looking at it hard, right? I'm like father, 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 father the whole way down. And by the time I got to the end of it, the father didn't mean father to me, right? And then he went into it like, oh, I bet it doesn't even mean what you think it means anymore. It's just a word. And I'm like, I was so focused on trying not to get caught up in missing a letter or a spelling that it literally did exactly what he said he was going to do. And then like 2 pages after that, he says that fear. I'm gonna mess it up, but he says that fear, when there's fear associated to a word that you're trying to um, have that station with, it won't work because our minds are more they look for the fear or the warning. So he did it again a couple pages later with the word warning, and it didn't have the same effect. And it's like it's because it's the word warning, and your mind is already associated with like warning about what am I looking for? It's already associated to look for something scary. So I thought that was really cool. And then with the wallpaper one, he said wallpaper, the overuse of popular terms, phrases, calls to action at the point to the point that the brain habituates to them and tunes them out. And I actually wrote a note on here, change slides and call to action for our calls, or change the links that we send out our calls with. And literally right before you guys came on, Jay and I were talking about a meeting tomorrow that we're gonna have. And I think we need to talk about that because it literally says it here in the book. Like if we keep sending the same information over and over and over, it's just gonna be like redundant or repetitive at some point. Um, but yeah, I'll pause to see if somebody else has something to go.
Yes, well, I wasn't here last week, obviously, so I didn't get I won't go over all of this stuff, but I did what I like about this book is that it's like, for me, it like breaks it down to like manageable pieces where you can feel like you can dissect it into like a way that it actually seems that it's an achievable goal as you're looking to, better your business, better yourself. And so I found that's what I like about it. So I think that they're like easy, practical ways to look at different things and make it a little bit more of an actual goal that can be reached. But I liked, like in the beginning, really liked when he was talking about the question and behavior effect, like just asking yes or no questions instead of allowing people to kind of give their these long list of answers or like a summary of it. Basically, it was just a yes or no. And so I think that that was something that stuck with me because I tend to yap, right? So it's like, so if we have a yes or no question, it'd be a lot easier. We'd probably get a conversation done a lot faster. So I think that was like I always has stuck with me for that piece. And then mental toughness. So like that's like a hit home, I think, for a lot of people, right? Like talking about how mental toughness is really going to help identify. But what I liked about it was basically how he ended it. So I highlighted it. He put, if an 8-year-old tells you that you can't swim, tell them to fuck off. And I thought that was great. It's like, if you're going to be convinced that you can't do something right off the bat, it will automatically psych you out of what you think you can do, and it totally does the opposite effect. So you can be psyched out pretty quickly, and you can then that goes into the whole talk about your story and how basically your story is is what you're going to write. It's your strategy essentially, which I thought was great. And you get to build that strategy. But if you're building off of a strategy that you are telling yourself where you're not going to be able to do it, then you're not building a brand for yourself. All you're doing is psyching yourself down. You're never going to achieve what you're looking to do, which I think a lot of people have a hard time doing, right? So it's kind of having that self-reflection. He talks about how you have evidence of first something evidence, basically, where you're able to see for yourself what kind of person you are. But being true to yourself is going to be different. You have to be true to yourself before you can actually get the true definition. So that strategy can't go anywhere if you don't believe in it. So I like that also. And then I also like the going a little bit more forward. Chris, I had the same thoughts about the advertising and talking about that big blue slide. Like now all I keep thinking about is having a big blue slide. So if Jay ever wants to open up another office for us to kind of go sit at, I kind of want a big blue slide that goes from the top bottom to, from the top bottom. And we could do all of our marketing pictures there. I think it would be a great idea. We could have a good insurance policy, of course, but we just have to. But I think it would be a good big blue slide or a big orange slide for our colors. But yeah, so I think that I didn't get that's the furthest I've gotten so far. But going through the way that like how he breaks it down by law, and then kind of introduces people, and kind of goes through it. So I'm actually really enjoying this one, and I actually find it to be a really easy read, which is exciting for me. So I'm enjoying listening to all the tidbits because I think that this could be a great way to break it down. And I think it's a good diary, if you will, of how to really get to where you want to be, and you create your own business that way. So I'm excited about this one.
Hey, Monica and Victoria, if you guys would like to say something, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi everyone. Hey, I haven't read this book. I'm just clicking and checking in for the first time. I'm gonna go back to my reading habits. So I just wanted to see what was it about. So I'm just learning from you all.
Well, welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome
thank
to the
you.
book club. This is fantastic.
I love it. Yes, thank you. Everything everybody's saying is super interesting. So thank you for letting me be part of.
Think about the one thing also. You know what I'm finding in every one of our books that we're reading is that they all talk about how your health is like paramount to everything. And in this one, and you always hear them talk about sleep. And like every time now I'm having self-reflection that I'm not getting enough sleep. And it's giving me, I feel like I keep thinking that somebody's putting these books together for us, basically for me to like look at my habits. Because the last one was about sugar and all that other stuff. And now it's about not enough sleep. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. So it's like how he talks about how sleep is the most important thing you can get. So I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe this is a self-created thing for Justin. There's a like, let's go big picture. That's what this whole book club is for.
I think this is your sign,
I knew
Justin.
it.
You need to step it up. That's funny. I do like the law 12. You must piss people off. It says indifference when people don't love you or hate you, that's the least profitable outcome of a marketer for a marketer. So I put a little note on the side of it. It says in any aspect, and this is true of anything. So in any aspect of life, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, right? So that's when you literally get nothing from someone if they're indifferent about anything, about love, about business, about um consuming something. So I think, and the page right before it says, hate is a signal that you're saying the right things. Maybe not always, because I think that depends on the situation. But I think what it said to me was, if someone is not kind of opposing you, or you're not challenging someone's views, you're not having the type of impact you think you want to have. So I did like that one. It's actually a good timing now for that one. And then the last page says, some people will love you, some people will hate you, some people simply won't care. You will only connect to the first two. And I really like that one. I'm a little bit behind. I think we're supposed to be on law 16 and I'm on 14, so I'm sorry. Ooh, okay, I have another one. It's highlighted. I just keep going through and I keep finding it. So it says the psychological moonshot is a relatively small investment that drastically improves the perception of something. And he gave the example of his barber, right? He's like, for the last 10 years, I've been going to the same barber. He comes to my house at the same day, at the same time. He takes exactly this amount of time to cut my hair, and he cuts my hair exactly the same every single time. But today, for whatever reason, it felt shorter. He did my hair and he was like, okay, you're done. And I was like, what? That felt really rushed and really short or whatever. So he was looking himself in the mirror and like, why is it different? But no, it was the exact same haircut. Everything was perfect. And then he basically said, oh, my barber manipulated me because he does this thing at the end of his service where he's done with your haircut, but he looks around and he's like, he's just taking a long pause, looking at, like, he knows he did the job, like he knows I killed it, right? But he's looking at the haircut. He's like, oh, one little thing, and he does like a fake cut, like where he cuts something fakely, and it makes the person psychologically feel like, wow, he's really paying attention to my hair and what I like, and blah blah blah. But he forgot to do it that day, and he said that he noticed. He's like, I noticed that you forgot to do that. He's like, oh, that's just a little thing that I do. So I don't know. I was trying to think of something that I could do that way, but I can't really sit here and like pinpoint exactly what I could psychological moonshot I could do to make someone feel like, oh, you're doing above and beyond or whatever. But
Lola, you already do it. You
um,
already do it. Like, I mean, and I pointed it out this weekend, right? I mean, it's just taking the initiative and thinking about us when you're off, and saying, hey, we need to do a group photo. We need to do, I mean, so you already do it. Like that's, one of the things, we've talked about in the past. One of the things that I loved about the very beginning is you did that. And then, now you do it. Like, it's just, you're always ahead of me, which is hard to do. But that's when you're ahead of someone and you're always doing it. Like, I'm thinking it and then you're doing it. I mean, obviously, being working together for a long time, obviously there's a connection and we think alike. Justin and I are doing that now, right? He's starting to do the same thing and text me and make sure that. So, I think you already do that already in your own way, but maybe not like that, but in the ways of where you're, for me anyways, like when you're thinking of stuff that I don't have to think of, or and even for the team, or you're all stuff's running through your mind, you could just let it run through your mind and not do anything about it. and not say anything about it, but you actually send a message, and that's the difference, for me anyways, in working with both you and Justin, but especially you right now, because we've been 8 years, working together, and you know what my next move or next breath is going to be typically, sometimes right before I know. So that's good. So you already do that. And so that's what I would, in your relationships, in your friendships, like that's where people are going to really connect with you when you do that and you're thinking of things before they do, or some people will be like, I'm not gonna send that message or whatever. Send the message, because
Yeah.
like Chris sent me a beautiful message this weekend, and it just like it impacts people. When you read that, it's just like, and what I sent back to Chris is, I was just a catalyst, bro. You're the one that did everything, because it's true. Like, I mean, yeah, I came into his life, but I didn't do shit. You did all of it. So, I mean, that's just, but again, Chris put that message out there because he's just really good at connecting and giving gratitude. And so all of that stuff, I think all of you guys really do a good job of. So for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't read the book last week. It's the first time that I skipped. I know, I know. I was so busy, and then I was gonna read it this morning, and then my dog had surgery yesterday, and she's not being. She got fixed yesterday, so I didn't. It's a poor excuse, but I will catch up by tomorrow. Because I'm gonna get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and read. But I've told every single person about the book. I haven't even finished the book, and someone asked me the other day, "What's one of my favorite books?" And not even finishing this book, it's one of my favorite books. Just because I feel like all of the stuff that he talks about in the order that he talks about it in, um, it is really, really good. And Lucia, just so you know, like on here, I'm gonna, I'm not sure who the person was that dropped off here, and even you, Monica. So we've been doing this how many years, Chris?
It was
Six.
January of 2019 when we started.
Okay, so we're going on 7 years. This January will be 7 years that we're doing this. And so Chris has been here the entire time. Lola's been here the entire time. I've been here the entire time, and that's it. And so we've had a lot of people come and go. And the reason I started this book club was for one reason and one reason only, honestly, and it was for my own accountability. It was to ensure that I actually stuck to reading 15 pages of a book every single day. And then I had to show up. So, obviously I'm not going to lie about it. I was crazy busy last week, and it's the first time that I've not been caught up ever in this book club. But that makes me feel like shit, that I'm not caught up. So it'll never happen again because I don't want to have to admit that again, especially being it's my idea. So, and then we just get on here, we just talk about it, right? And so a lot of times Chris and I will have differing opinions on different subjects, and it's very good discussion, right? Like, I mean, it might be a book that I love, it might be a book that I brought in or he brought in, it sucks. And we'll discuss how terrible their decision was to bring the book in, or I'm kidding. But all we're doing is just basically when you read a book, it's always good to talk about it in a group. And really, what we want to do with this book club is we want to grow it, because I really truly believe that it impacts lives on a greater level. We go to college, and maybe till we're 22 years old, and then most people stop educating themselves and learning and reading. And that's really when education should start. And college is really a textbook and really a curriculum and a business of what people want to embed in your brain and what you learn that's usually not practical in the everyday world. And the books that we choose to read are really personal development books or life books or relationship books or whatever we decide to read. So that's kind of the premise behind this for you and Monica that are coming in is just we want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinion on it because I think everyone's opinion counts, and we value having you. So all I would ask you guys to do, and Lucy is at work, so all I would ask you guys to do is just stick with it. If you stick with it, the outcome that you'll have out of this is going to be greater than you can imagine. And I'm not sure how many books we've read.
Yeah, what is
Lola,
the
do you
running
know?
count up to now? I mean, it's got to be we're over 100 now by
150?
this point, right? Like well over.
I think we were
Lola
at
has it.
97.
Yeah, we're at
97.
97.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
got to be
and the
close to
average
100.
amount of books that somebody reads in a lifetime is usually about point 0.2.
Literally.
Because
And
most
we've done
people
this
pick
too.
up a book and might read a chapter or two of the book. And so, you know, I'm up to 90 pages a day, so that's why I know like I'll catch up tomorrow. So I usually read 3 different books at a time. I also listen to the books and read it at the same time on Audible at a 2.2 clip rate. So what I would tell you is start listening to it 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, 2.0, 2.2. And if you put it back down to 1.0, you'll slit your wrists listening to someone read that slow to you. So it will help you. It will help you consume books better. But also, if you're listening, it's always better to look at too, because memory, you'll remember the information versus just listening to it. Me personally, when I listen to it, about 3 or 4 minutes in, I'm thinking about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and then all of a sudden I'm missing everything that they're reading. But if I'm looking at it visually and it's highlighting for me, also on the Kindle, if you can get a Kindle or if you have an iPad or a phone, you can highlight notes on there. And at the end of every book, I read all my notes. It's like I reread the book, but only things that spoke to me in the book. And so you could use it for content on social media, obviously giving credit to the author or whatever. Hey, I read this in the book. So it creates content for you and your business. It creates coaching for your team, that you're bringing in. Hey, I read this, I learned this. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys the premise of this being that this was your first time on, just to be, super consistent, show up, as much as you can, speak as much as you can about the book. Even if you're behind, if you don't feel like speaking, and it takes you a month or two to be comfortable to do that, we just love having you guys here and being on this journey with you. So thanks for coming, and I hope to see you guys for years to come. Because we're not going to stop doing this, even if there's just 3 of us, because there has been just 3 of us sometimes, and we get on here and discuss the book. It's a hard habit and discipline for people to incorporate into their life. But the way I do it is every morning when I wake up, it's the first thing I do. So I get up, I have my juice, I read, 15 pages of the book every single day. It takes 10, 15 minutes to do that. And it's just a habit. And once you do that, you'll feel kind of ill if you don't do it. And when you do it, you're going to feel a lot more, your brain's going to feel better. And so thank you guys for being here. And the reason I'm talking about that is because I don't have anything to talk about in the book that I need. So,
Well, and so to that standpoint, by next week, then, as I'm looking here, if we're doing roughly the 75 pages, we'd be up to 225. So
correct.
law 23 starts on 224. So really, just
224.
just if you're up, if you complete chapter 22 or law 22, you'll be caught up. And this is one of the easiest reads we've read. Like it clips by. There's been some of them that do drag on, that you do have to slow it down and listen. And we've been all over the map.
Yeah, like we've read books about that thick.
That's
that
not
have
even the
taken
biggest
us.
one that we have.
No, it's not.
No.
I think Sapiens might be. We read this, The Science of the Mind.
It's
which
just all over the map with
just-
the book. It's been everything from Matthew McConaughey's biography, which was hilarious and fun. Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, that was hilarious with his what was his donkey's name that he had at his house? Little donkey.
Hey guys,
Wasn't it Lola or something like that?
I've got to go. I've got my meeting coming. So
All
good
right,
to see
well,
you guys. I'll see you guys next week.
It's a blast. We'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Gracias.
Bye, guys. See you next week.